R.Kelly is behind bars for failing to pay more than $160,000 in child support. R.Kelly's publicists said that they hope to get him out by next Wednesday. They also said the singer simply doesn't have the money. But here's what R.Kelly told our Gail King.
Your income, it was reported that your income was very high. Hundreds of millions of dollars, we'll say that, because I don't want to get hung up on the semantics.
That's one room I wish that was true.
And yet, when you were in jail last week, the bond was $100,000, and they said R.Kelly couldn't even afford to get himself out of jail, that a friend had to come and bail you out of jail. What is your financial situation, if you don't mind saying?
Here's the deal. So many people have been stealing my money. People was connected to my account. I went by myself for the first time to Bank of America. Didn't know what I was doing. Didn't know what the hell was going on.
When did you do that? First time by yourself?
About 3 weeks ago to a month.
3 weeks ago was the first time you went to Bank of America?
Absolutely.
By yourself?
By myself. Because I was so tired of not knowing where my money was, what my publishing is.
Isn't that on you then?
Huh?
Isn't that on you?
A lot of it's on me.
That you didn't know where your money is?
A lot of it's on me.
And people say he doesn't have money because he had to pay so much in settlements. What do you say about that?
Lie.
According to court documents, Kelly settled 3 lawsuits with women who alleged they were minors when he had sex with them. But Kelly says what really cost him is the people who had access to his bank account, something he found out from a bank teller.
I had like $350,000 in the bank. And I told her, look, take that. I want to start a new account, and that's the way it is, right? So she said, okay, it's going to take 6 to 7 business days to clear. Does that make sense? Yeah.
The day after the trip to the bank, Kelly was indicted on 10 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse. He says he was unable to access his bank account to make bail. Now he's back in jail for this separate child support case, something he became emotional about during our interview.
How can I pay child support? How? If my ex-wife is destroying my name and I can't work, how can I work? How can I get paid? How can I take care of my kids? How?
Your ex-wife
Use your common sense.
Your ex-wife says you abused her, Robert.
13 lying. 13 years being married. I flew in on a helicopter. I flew in on a helicopter.
Yes. Yes. Can somebody get us some tissue?
I don't want no tissue. I'm going to leave.
No, you're doing well.
Look, man, look. I'm telling y'all. I flew in on a helicopter with a damn puppy, and I proposed to Drill, whom I was in love with, and told her, hey, look, I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. We got married. Okay? We had 3 beautiful kids. Not once have I ever had a domestic violence call at the house and all this, that, and the other. It never happened, okay?
But in a Lifetime docuseries, Surviving R. Kelly, his ex-wife Andrea described a tumultuous and sometimes dangerous relationship.
And I went to the National Domestic Violence Awareness Hotline, and there's 17 questions. There was only 2 things on that list that Robert hadn't done to me. And that's when it became real to me, like, you're being abused.
Is Andrea not telling the truth when she said she was abused by you? Is she not telling the truth?
Absolutely. She's not telling the truth. I love her to death. I have nothing against her still. That is my kid's mother.
She's making that up.
If you
why?
notice one thing...
Why is she making that up, Robert?
I'm not disrespecting her by saying she's not telling the truth. I'm just being honest. Somebody sent me something on my phone and it said that I hog-tied her. I don't know how to hog-tie people. What would I hog-tie? My kids is listening to this, all of this nonsense, and I ain't been able to spend no time with them. This is real. This is not a lie. What kind of woman would tear down a dad who's trying to have a relationship with their kids? You know how many kids need a relationship with their father?
What is your relationship with your children?
Oh, my God.
What is your relationship with your children?
Zero.
Zero.
But I know my kids love me. And I'm in love with my kids. I love my kids.
And our Chicago station WBBM reports that investigators are looking into a new allegation against Kelly. Detroit detectives are investigating an allegation that Kelly, quote, engaged in sexual intercourse with a 13-year-old in 2001. The woman, who is now 30, says Kelly gave her herpes when she was 17. Kelly told CBS that everyone accusing him of physical and sexual abuse is lying. The two women who live with R.Kelly are defending him to CBS News. They say they love Kelly, but their families argue that they were brainwashed. Jerika Duncan has more.
I didn't do this stuff. This is not me.
Following R.Kelly's emotional interview with Gayle King,
hey, Joycelyn, this is Mommy.
Joycelyn Savage called her family for the first time in years to let them know she's okay.
I'm just letting you know I need you guys to understand that I'm very happy.
How will we know you're happy when we don't hear from you in 2 years?
Well, I have to go now.
I love you, Joycelyn.
Kelly says he's in a relationship with 23-year-old Savage and 21-year-old Azriel Clary. Both live with Kelly.
What I saw on TV this morning about his way he acted when he got upset, I can only imagine what he does behind closed doors.
Less than an hour before Savage called her family, they held a news conference urging their daughter to contact them. Timothy Savage is Joycelyn's father.
But as a parent, our thing is to make sure that she's healthy, safe, and sound, and make sure she's fine.
Kelly said he met Joycelyn after her father brought her to one of the singer's concerts when she was 19.
I didn't go looking for a Jocelyn Savage. I was doing my show. He brought her and asked a friend of mine to put her on the stage with R.Kelly.
That is absolutely not true.
Gerald Griggs is the Savage family attorney.
At no point has Mr. Kelly ever met Timothy Savage.
Well, joining me now is attorney Jesse Weber. He's host of the Law and Crime Network. Jesse, at first I got to ask you, why would anybody agree to do an interview like this?
So the way that I look at it is, what was the goal here? And I think it was to garner sympathy, but then the question is, to garner sympathy from who? There's one avenue to say, hey, if this goes to trial, maybe we can taint a jury pool. Maybe we can get some supporters of R. Kelly on that pool, and maybe this tape will help. I don't think that's the best way. The most pressing issue for him right now is finances. If he goes out there and he made a credible public statement that he's the victim here, maybe there's going to be renewed interest in his music. Maybe the sales will go up. We saw that happen with the documentary coming out. And if that's going to help him in his financial case when he's, facing all these legal charges, maybe that'll help. The other thing, and this is just my opinion, he's a performer. And maybe what he is doing is making a plea to his accusers who would eventually testify against him in trial. Think twice. Remember who I am. Remember what we had. And think about that before you go forward with this. It's not too late. A part of me believes that might have been what the goal was here.
I'm not sure that they achieved that goal with this interview.
No, because again, anything that he said could be used in a trial.
I was just going to ask you, could Gayle's interview with R. Kelly be used in court? Is it?
Of course. I mean, for what purpose? I mean, to show that he completely denies these allegations? Sure. The way that I would see it working more against him is, let's say he's convicted, and let's say there's a sentencing phase, and it's a question of what should the penalty be. They could show this interview and said he lied to the media. He never showed remorse for what he did. He still doesn't think he did anything wrong, and that could hurt him ultimately in a sentence. There's
a clip I'd actually like to play where he talks about double jeopardy. I want to get you to weigh in on that as well.
People are going back to my past, okay? That's exactly what they're doing. They're going back to the past, and they're trying to add all of this stuff now to that, to make all of the stuff that's going on now feels real to people.
But the past is relevant with you with underage girls.
Absolutely no, it's not.
Why?
Because for one, I beat my case. When you beat something, you beat it.
You were acquitted.
We can't double jeopardy me like that. You can't. It's not fair. It's not fair to nobody. When you beat your case, you beat your case.
Double jeopardy, of course, is where you can't be tried twice for the same case. Does he have a point there?
Okay. So if he was saying that the same person who was involved in that earlier child pornography case is coming forward now for the same kind of event, sure. But just because you got acquitted for a sexual assault claim all those years ago doesn't mean you can't be brought up on charges of other sexual assault claims. That doesn't quite work. And I know that his attorney has come forward and said, well, if it's the same woman, it's the same tape, he may have an argument there. But you're talking about multiple people here and events that span a course of time. So that argument really isn't going to fly for him.
You know, we know just typically sexual assault cases are very hard to prove. In this case, we do know that Cook County state's attorneys have DNA evidence. How will that help this case? Okay, so putting him with her is the essential element here. You know, if you can say that they had a sexual relationship, that's key. How else are they going to show it? Through through video footage? I mean, that's going to be huge to see as well. The question that I'm interested in, and what I kind of saw from his video, is to say that these women have been lying, or at the very least, you know, at one point he said, it's not about young for me, it's about legal for me. So I wonder if he's going to say, I always thought that they were of age, I made sure they were of age, and it maybe in a twisted argument he could say, no matter what you hear on that video, no matter what it is, this kind of weird talk that we have, I always knew that she was over age, but me personally, I wanted to think of something else. That's one argument to be made for him. CBS's Chicago station WBBM is reporting that there is another young woman who is being investigated that claims that she had sex with him when she was just 13. If R. Kelly faces, how does it work? You know, when you've got accusations in multiple states, how do you move forward with that?
Well, if you're talking about Michigan, I mean, it clearly falls within the statute of limitations, meaning they can bring that charge against them. And we've seen people who have been charged with crimes across multiple jurisdictions. You know, it'd be interesting to see how, if they could bring it into a Chicago trial. I don't think that would happen. I think he might have to face trial in separate states. But I wonder if they'll see how this case goes forward first, and whether he'd have to face a separate trial in another state. The bottom line is, though, no matter what happens, many times we'll see people who are convicted, and in a sentencing phase, I mean, we saw it in Bill Cosby, people who have accused him of something, they don't even have to go to trial for that. It can help in the sentencing phase for the state, because they'd be like, he has been accused by multiple women. Let's show who they are, and that would hurt him in a sentencing phase. And again, he faces up to 30 to 70 years, potentially, if he's convicted on all these counts.
You know, one thing I just don't get, just in the past 24 hours, R. Kelly is now behind bars for failing to pay child support. How is it possible that a man who just in January, his music streams were up 116% after the documentary came out, how does he not have money?
Okay, so without knowing his exact financial situation, a lot of times people are surprised by musicians that they are just not raking in a ton of money. It can get very complicated when it turns about royalties and who owns the rights to what. There are a lot of different organizations. But he is a songwriter, a performer, a publisher. You would seem that the income would be coming through. The one thing that I've noticed is it's possible that, let's say that the royalty streams he has is a form of security on loans. I've seen that happen before, and I've heard that maybe that might be the case for him, that it's not as much money as you would think coming directly to him. And if he has been in situations where he has been improperly advised, or as he claims people were taking money from him, there could be an argument that he might not have as much money as we are all led to believe, or this could be just him making something up.
Jesse, what are you watching next in this case?
I want to see what he does. I mean, I really do. I want to see, you know, his legal team has been, you know, adamantly denying everything. And this was a move to go forward with this interview. What's next? I mean, what's next to see? And also, every week goes by, I'm curious if there's going to be another charge brought against him or another story. Because when one comes out, people feel emboldened to come forward and tell their story. So, you know, who knows where we're going to be a week from now.
Jesse Weber. Jesse, thank you for coming on set and appearing with us.
Thank you.